We're having a little bit of entertainment. We have Ella Glasgow, and her whole, first of all, Ella is the CEO and executive producer of Beyond Virtual Events. And what she is sharing with us is how to use Disney effects in your events.
Dream is a wish your heart makes when you're fast asleep. In dreams you will lose your heartaches. Whatever you wish for, you keep. Have faith in your dreams, and someday your rainbow will come smiling through. No matter how your heart is grieving, if you keep on believing, the dreams that you wish will come true. Such a beautiful song that brings so many memories for so many different people. In fact, I want to ask you right now to write down what memories came up for you when you heard the first opening notes of that song. Now, guys, I understand you may not have any memories at all, but the ladies do. And maybe there are some guys that do have memories. And as I'm thinking about this song in particular and the memories it brings up for me, I think about Cinderella, and I think about my childhood, and of course, Disney. So many amazing things are tied to this song, and it's incredible how one song can invoke so many memories in so many different people. And it can create a wide array with the right sauce for your next virtual event. You have the potential to do the exact same thing with your audience. But before I go any further, hey friend! My name is Ella Glasgow, and I am your show-stopping virtual event producer hired by corporate meeting and event planners to help them create impactful virtual events that have them wowing their community, increasing connections and commitment to their cause without pulling their hair out, trying to figure out all the logistics and the tech and all of it all. And we do this using our signature encore method for transformational virtual experiences that have their audiences wanting to pay cash money to attend again and again. And when it comes to experiences, there are a whole lot of things that we could talk about, and I have been looking forward to this moment to talking with you for such a long time, but I only have 15 minutes or less, so I'm only going to talk about 3. So the first thing, when it comes to creating events, I should say, there are a lot of things that we could talk about when it comes to events. In particular, I'm going to talk about 3 things that could really power shift your next event. And the first that I would love to talk with you about is experiences, because that's what you want to know about after all. When it comes to creating experiences, there are a number of things that go into that. And it's not just something that you do just for the sake of popping things into your particular event. In fact, before we go any further, I want you to get out a piece of paper, and I want you to write down the last experience that you had that you know that you will never forget. Now, I know you weren't expecting to write things right now. You weren't expecting a song either, but here we are. So I want you to go run, grab a piece of paper right now. Go grab a piece of paper, grab a pen, and I want you to think about it on your way, while you're running, and then come back, because I'm only going to give you a minute to think about this. But I want you to write down what was the last experience that you had. It could be the very last one, or one that happened a while ago, but experience that you had that you know that you will never, ever, ever forget. And while you're doing this, I'm going to give you some think about it music. Are you ready? Steady, go. Right? Did you get it written down? Okay. Pop those things into the chat, if you will, those experiences that you had that you know that you will never forget. And while you're doing that, I'm going to let you know about an experience that I had not too long ago with my son that I know that I will never, ever, ever forget. It happened after he got a huge bouncy ball for Christmas. And when I saw what he had, I thought to myself, I want one of those too. I don't want him to be the only one having fun with this huge bouncy ball. So here is what happened.
Okay, I'll go to the other.
Yeah, you ready?
Yeah.
On your mark.
I know I want to say it. On your mark. Get set, go.
That was so much fun. What does this have to do at all with creating experiences for your audiences? Well, it has absolutely everything to do with creating experiences for your audiences. Well, because you see, the definition that I have of experience is this one. Experience is the memory or memories you give your audience long after the event is over. Experiences, in my mind, are planned. There are some things about them that happen that are spontaneous, but those happen within a well-defined and well-planned event. And I encourage you to think of your experiences in this way, that as you're putting your virtual events together, that you're thinking about how can you create moments, pockets of memories that your audience will never, ever, ever forget long after the event is over. In my son's mind, that moment was really spontaneous. He didn't know mommy was planning on getting a huge bouncy ball. We never told him that that was happening, but bouncy big ball mommy did get. And those memories will continue to be built because we're doing it like literally every night. And it's exactly what I wanted for him. And for your audiences, you want to be able to think about where are those places that you can create impactful experiences, impactful memories that they will not forget long after the event is over. And I look at this in this way, thinking about one of the best places on earth that creates experiences that you feel or choose your own adventure, but there really are not. Everything has been meticulously planned, and that is at Disney World or Disneyland. If you've ever had the opportunity to go, you know at this point, or maybe you don't, and I'm letting the cat out of the bag, that when it comes to going to those parks in particular, the experience of Disney, the memories that are created with Disney are created for you long before you ever hit the park. And I'm not just talking about their movies and things like that, but I'm thinking about the moments that you decide that you're going to go to Walt Disney World. The minute that you get into Orlando and you get off of the highway onto Disney property, that experience has already begun. In fact, for some of you, it maybe had begun at the airport. You hadn't even hit the park yet. Think of your event this way. The experience with your particular virtual event happens long before the event happens, and it has to be planned in. It cannot be spontaneous. It happens the moment that they hit your property. And when I say your property, I'm talking about your landing page. When I think about experiences, it starts there, and it may start long before that for you. But the events that we work on, they start with the landing page because that's our audience's first time ever coming on to property. And everything there should allow them to really be enveloped in the world that you're creating for them, that allows them to disconnect from the world that's around them and really be intimately engaged with what it is that you're presenting for them, giving them the reason to continue being a part of the experience that you're creating. So you want to make sure that your landing page is not just a simple evite. You want it to really invoke memories and senses, any of the senses that you can invite into the experience that they have with you that's sight, that sound, if it's touch, smell, all of those things can be invoked with your entire virtual event so that you create an experience that is full-bodied. And there are so many other things that I want to talk with you about when it comes to creating experiences, but I'm going to zip through these last two because I really want you to think about these as well. And the second power shift I want you to think about is purposeful engagement. When it comes to creating an experience, if you're thinking about this in the context that I'm giving to you right now, everything has to be purposeful. You cannot and you should not involve things in your virtual event just because it seems like everyone else is doing it. One of the things that I hear all the time is, yeah, we're going to add a poll. We want to add a poll because it's engagement. I literally heard this just the other day, like 2 days ago. I'm working with someone on a particular event. It's not my event that I'm working on, but they asked me to come in and help a little bit. And the client literally said, we want some polls because we want to create engagement. They had no purpose, no rhyme or reason for those polls, but they just simply thought because they had polls that would be engagement. If your polls are anything that you choose to use for engagement, because polls are not the only way that you can engage, if you are not purposeful with those tools, you're going to find those engagement moments falling flat, and they're not going to turn out the way that you expected. So make sure that you are purposeful with any form of engagement that you use. And power shift number 3, embrace the silence. Now, this one may seem a little bit crazy, but I tell you what, it has to do with where you're putting your event on. And if you are doing like we do a lot of our virtual events on Zoom, and trust me, it ain't your regular Zoom when we do it. But there is something that we purposefully do when we are using Zoom meetings for our virtual events, and that has to do with the mute button. So I'm just going to tell you this now. Love the mute button. Hold on to the mute button. Be one with the mute button. Why? Because how many times have you been a part of an event that maybe the people that were running it, especially on Zoom or some things like Teams or the other platforms, and they don't know how to use it very well? They don't know the power of the mute button, and somebody starts speaking who was not involved but just randomly speaks up, or noises happen that you don't expect and really don't add to the event. In fact, stop the flow. Let me tell you, when you have the power of the mute button and you understand how to use it within the platform that you are using, if you are using a platform that allows the audience to be fully there with you and not just engaged in a chat, then I encourage you to become one with that mute button. And know when it's time to allow the audience to really raise their voice and be a part of the conversation. That comes with purposeful planning and purposeful engagement, because again, that's another form of engagement, allowing them to speak up. But you really have to be on point when you make those things happen. So to wrap up the 3 power shifts that I gave you today: 1, meaningful experiences, making sure that you create moments for your audience to remember long after the event is done. And number 2, purposeful engagement, ensuring that you are putting in engagement that is purposeful and leading your audience where it is that you want them to end up. Not just because it seems like it's cool to have that piece in there. You're doing it because it is leading them somewhere, the destination that you want them to end up. And the third one is power mute. If you're on a platform that allows for the physical voice to be heard beyond just you speaking to your audience, then use the power mute. You'll love it. Own it. Work with it. Thank you so much for being with me here today. I hope that these tools were useful to you, and I cannot wait to read all of your discoveries. And I want to know, let me know, what of these things are you going to use for your next virtual event? I'll see you next time. Bye. Have fun. Bye.